Hey ladies and gents, hope you are all well. Thank you for tuning in. I have a recent video clip here of former President Trump giving a speech regarding the current state of the justice system in the United States. This speech is straight after his indictment by the Manhattan DA, where his actual crime is still a mystery. The president's assessment regarding the corruption and weaponization of the justice system is widely agreed upon by folks mainly on the right, and there is a desire for the scales of justice to be restored in America. None other than Trump himself knows this best, as he has experienced the unfairness of this system from the moment he became president in 2017. President Trump has promised to appoint U.S. attorneys who will be the complete opposite of the Soros district attorneys. We see these Soros-funded DAs pop up throughout the country, especially in Dem-controlled constituencies. Trump wants to spearhead the overhaul of the Federal Department of Justice and FBI and appoint attorneys that he describes as legal warriors against crime and communist corruption. He is promising to launch sweeping civil rights investigations into the Marxist local district attorneys. There are a lot of promises there. How is going to be done depends on a lot of factors. Trump calls out the Soros prosecutors for their selective enforcement of the law and wants to hold them accountable. To achieve this, if president once again, he will get the Department of Justice to establish a task force on protecting the right to self-defense and investigate the use of police state tactics to arrest conservatives and Christians. Well, he also wants reforms to be made at bar associations and prevent major law firms from the purge of conservative lawyers. Essentially, he is saying he is going to do everything necessary to save the legal system, which is regarded as one of the greatest achievements of Western civilization, from Marxist barbarians who seek to destroy it. Enough said, let's roll the clip.
There is no more dire threat to the American way of life than the corruption and weaponization of our justice system, and it's happening all around us. If we cannot restore the fair and impartial rule of law, we will not be a free country. As president, it will be my personal mission to restore the scales of justice in America. We will have fairness and equality under the law, and to that end, I will appoint U.S. attorneys who will be the polar opposite of the Soros district attorneys and others that are being appointed throughout the United States. Very unfair to our population, very unfair to our country. They will be the 100 most ferocious legal warriors against crime and communist corruption that this country has ever seen. As we completely overhaul the Federal Department of Justice and FBI, we will also launch sweeping civil rights investigations into Marxist local district attorneys. And that's what we have. They're Marxists in many cases. By refusing to charge countless crimes, these Soros prosecutors appear to be engaging in selective enforcement based on illegal racial discrimination. In Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and every other city where these maniacs have taken over, the DA's offices should face federal subpoenas of their staff, their emails, and their records to determine whether they have blatantly violated federal civil rights law. As part of this effort, there should be a federal inquiry into the Soros prosecutor in Austin, Texas, who charged a veteran with murder for defending himself against a threat by a heavily armed member of a radical left mob. I will also order the Department of Justice to establish a task force on protecting the right to self-defense, which is under siege nationwide. In addition, we will have a complete investigation into the use of police state tactics by federal authorities to arrest conservatives and Christians. We will find out who ordered it, and we will hold them totally accountable. There is much more that we must do. We have to confront this radicalized law in schools. You take a look at what they've done to our schools, our beautiful schools. We have to reform the far-left bar associations and stop the purge of conservative lawyers from major law firms. I will do whatever it takes to save our legal system among the greatest achievements of Western civilization from the Marxist barbarians who seek to destroy it. And we will do that. We will save it. Thank you very much.
So whether you support Trump or not, you can agree that there is a need to restore the fair and impartial rule of law in America before we become a banana republic. We already know the outrageous bias this system has. I mean, they no longer hide it and just keep getting worse. The investigation into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election was led by a team of Democratic prosecutors who had a clear political bias against Donald Trump. The impeachment was based on allegations that were not supported by sufficient evidence, and it was clear from the beginning that the outcome had already been decided in favor of the Democrats. Furthermore, the double standard in the justice system's handling of violent protests is another example of how Democrats have benefited from the system's favoritism. The treatment of the Capitol rioters versus the treatment of BLM and Antifa protesters is a clear example of the double standard that exists within this system. Hundreds of Capitol rioters are in or facing jail time compared to 0 Antifa and BLM rioters who were literally burning cities. So while the justice system is supposed to be impartial and independent, it is increasingly obvious that it has become a Democratic Party tool that favors Democrats and suppresses conservatives with disproportionate force. The unity of the country hinges on fairness, and therefore crucial that work is done towards reforming the system so that it is fair and impartial, regardless of political affiliation.